Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is a video about hidden divergence. After watching this, you'll never be confused about it ever again. You'll never be wondering, am I looking at hidden divergence? Am I looking at regular divergence? Why is it hidden? Why is it called hidden? What does it mean? What does it signal? How do I use this in my charts? None of that. You'll all understand it all forever from this point forward. How great does that sound? Talking about the sound of things though, and because this is called hidden divergence, I think I should put on a wee touch of the old background music for this one. Because we're going to be super spies here and figure out how to identify hidden divergence. That was a bit fun, but enough of that. So could you do a video explaining hidden divergence and how you see it? Okie dokie, this video is for all of you and it's inspired by Spidey Monkey, so we all owe him a round of applause. Thanks Spidey Monkey, good question, that's a good video. And I've written out some notes to make this process easier. I might even put chapters in the video down below so you can skip around and come back to watch certain sections, right? So first off, let's cover the name of this thing. I often say this in the videos, I say it in all the videos that I talk about hidden divergence on the channel. A reminder, you know, I do Bitcoin, Chainlink, Ethereum, Tezos Daily, the bonus coins and all that. So why is it called hidden divergence? And the answer is just to annoy you, my friends, specifically you, not everybody else watching the video, but actually just you, just specifically you. And why are you giving that answer, Rocky? Well, I'm doing that for two reasons. One, to make fun of the name hidden divergence, and two, to make it so that you got a couple of little sort of reminders here. This will help you never forget, okay? It's just a joke, and it's designed to interrupt your synapses in your head so that you never forget what it's all about, okay? So I just wanted to do that. It's a palate cleanser. So what is it really, right? What is it really? This is the next chapter. What is hidden divergence really? Well, hidden divergence is continuation divergence. And maybe part of the confusion about the name comes down to that. Regular divergence, right? That is like a warning and says that there could be a reversal. And hidden divergence works the other way around. It actually shows there could be continuation. Now, is it any more hidden than the regular stuff? Not at all. In fact, they're equally visible in the charts. If I had to say that one was more or less visible than the other, I couldn't. If you held a gun to my head, you'd have to shoot me. I'm sorry. They're both as visible as the other. It's a really, really bad name. And like I said in part number one, it's just to annoy you. Let's move on to the next chapter. The next chapter is how is it found? Look, it's not hidden, okay? Did you pay attention during part one for point number one? So it's only called that to annoy you. Lol, the next note I have there, well, yes, indeed, lol. I hope you're enjoying the video. If you are, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, all that sort of stuff. Really do appreciate it. So, so if you don't mind me asking, WTF then? Right, okay, so let's break this down just a little bit. There's notes up on the screen there. You can read them if you want or whatever. I hope I'm not covering them all up myself. Yeah, you can read them. Normal divergence, let's call it reversal divergence, okay? Let's call it, it's a warning sign during a trend that it could reverse. That's what normal divergence is. And that is, again, like I say, part of the reason why the name can become confusing. Now, hidden divergence as part of a trend shows you that is like a warning sign to say that it's going to keep going, okay? The trend is going to keep going. It's a divergence on the oscillators, but the trend itself is continuation for that. So that's another reason why the name can be confusing, because it's not saying that it's divergent in the way that, like, you know, divergent, so you got one thing going one way, one thing going another way, that means everything's going to break. No. It simply refers to the shape of the oscillator down below compared to the price action on the chart, and it says that one of them is going a different way to the way the price action is going. That might be a signal for continuation, and we'll explain the psychology behind that in a moment or two. But the way to remember it is, if you just want to use words and you're thinking, a month goes by, you've got an image in your head like, oh, this is divergence this way, this is divergence that way. You're trying to figure it out. It's like, which one's which, right? Easy. It's easy, right? Regular divergence, the one that we're not talking about in this video, the regular one, the reversal one, the one that's not a continuation, which is apparently visible, is you find it by looking at the ups in an uptrend and the downs in a downtrend, okay? You could make that confusing for people by saying you look for the peaks in an uptrend or you look for the highs in an uptrend, right? But let's just make the language easy. Regular divergence, you're looking for ups in an uptrend and downs in a downtrend. So-called visible divergence, or sorry, So-called hidden divergence or continuation divergence is looking for the downs in an uptrend and the ups in a downtrend. That's to say that you're looking at the peaks in a downtrend and you're looking at the troughs in an uptrend. Or, like I say, for simplicity of language and to remove all that confusion out of your head, regular divergence, looking at the ups in an uptrend. Hidden divergence, you're looking for the downs in an uptrend. That's the biggest identifier of it. And let's just jump over to the charts and take a look at some examples of it. Okie dokie. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Keep watching now, because if you watch right through to the end, I swear to goodness, you'll never forget about what this is ever again. So, and the way to do that, to seal the deal, you might be partly there. You might be thinking to yourself, I've seen enough of this. I can tune out now. Leave a like. I can tune out. Well, actually, let's just do a real quick look at the charts from some recent price action, looking at Bitcoin versus the US dollars. Okay, so this is TradingView that I've got behind me. This is the 4-hour chart on the Bitcoin to US dollar pairing, right? And in this period here, as you can see, from the start of June over here, that's like the 9th of June or so, up to the current time, which is around about the 7th of July as I'm filming this video, this 4-hour chart shows a downtrend. How do we know it's a downtrend? Well, because you've got these downs and they're lower than each other. Each one of the downs is lower than the previous down. This one, then this one, then this one, they're all lower than each other. And to add to that, you've got the highs in the downtrend. Each one of them is lower. So you've got this high here, then you've got this high here, and this high is lower than this high. Okie dokie. And indeed, maybe you've got like this high over here, for instance, and it's lower than that one. So you've got this downtrend. Agreed? Cool. Right. So how can we identify the divergence on here? And let's look for the regular divergence first, just to kind of stick with the format that maybe you might expect, you know, or that you might do yourself. When I film daily videos for cryptocurrency and publish them on YouTube, and I would really appreciate if you joined into them, I quite often look for the hidden divergence first, right? Just deliberately, just to throw that out there so that people get more used to this idea. It's a really useful tool as a sort of for a pedagogical technique to help teach people about divergence, is to look for the one that they might not expect first, okay? But in this video, since a lot of other people that maybe haven't seen the channel before are tuning into, I'm going to do it in the regular way. Let's look for some regular divergence. What do you remember about the words from earlier on? Regular divergence in a downtrend would be looking for the downs, right? Because it's the regular stuff. So we'll look at the lows in this downtrend and see if there's any divergence showing up. The divergent aspect, the word specifically referring to whether or not the oscillators are following along the exact same path as the price action. So looking here at this first low here, this first down in this downtrend, and this subsequent down in this downtrend, what do we see? Well, if we look to the RSI, and in fact, I tell you what, I'll just hide these other oscillators just so that it's quite clear that we're looking at the RSI for all the people tuning in. You can see here that this low came down as low as this, and the next low on the price action came down as low as this, which is actually higher. So this low is lower than the following low. The second low of the two lows is higher. So it's divergent away from the price action, which is lower. Okay, that's regular divergence. That would be your warning sign that there could be a bit of a reversal on the go. You might see prices go towards the upside, yada, yada, yada. What's the psychology behind that now as well? So if we can think of this line as being like, instead of being a line about momentum or the RSI or the calculation behind it or whatever else, instead, for the purposes of understanding the psychology here, let's think about this line as being a measure of the volume of all the people on the stock floor. You know those pictures of the NYSE where they're all trading in their jackets? Let's just get a picture up. NYSE traders on floor, right? Images. So you see, not the modern ones, the old school ones. Or the old school ones. So anyway, right, that was a mistake. But this picture here, see how they're all shouting at each other and all this sort of stuff, right? Okay, so great. So you understand what I'm trying to get at. Let's consider this line to be like a volume meter for all the people shouting. And if it's up towards the top side, they're shouting, buy it, buy it, buy it, right? And if it's towards the downside, they're shouting, sell it, sell it, sell it, get rid of this crap, right? Okay, let's just think about it like that. And as we see, the prices are in a downtrend here. And the noise in the room was so loud here, it got down as far as this sort of 26 area here on the RSI. And that was everybody shouting, sell it, get rid of it. So the momentum is there. They're wanting to get rid of this crap. Then it goes on to the next low, okay? And the volume meter, though, isn't getting as loud. There's not quite as many people there saying, sell it. Of course, there's quite a lot of people going, sell it, sell it. But it's not quite as loud. And imagine you there as a complete novice, have just turned up and you're looking at a bunch of people all buying and selling stuff, and you witnessed this happening, just psychology-wise, completely fresh, just wipe your mind of everything else, and you saw a bunch of people talking about buying and selling stuff in a room, and they were all like, sell it, sell it, sell it, very loud. Then the price went down a bit more, but they weren't quite screaming sell it quite as loud at that point. You might think to yourself, hey, the enthusiasm isn't as much as it was before. Maybe the prices will go up a wee bit from here, right? Okay, simple enough. That's how you understand divergence. Now, the confusing, so to speak, aspect of divergence. By the way, if you're interested in the 4-hour time frame, since if you're watching this in around this time as well, you've got this low, and then I wouldn't consider these bits to be these lows here to be the next low. In fact, I'm looking towards this area over here, and you can see that this low is in fact lower than the previous one over here, right? So there's that, but we're also looking between this low and the previous one. Sorry, this low here is lower than the previous low here. Like I say, I wouldn't include this low as being the low though. This is just the low, 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 and then we've got low, low, and low. So if we look at the charts here, you can see low, low, and then low. So there's actually 3 instances of bullish divergence here. They're screaming sell it there. The prices went down further. They weren't screaming quite as loudly. The prices then went up a bit. Then they went down even further than they had before. And even at this point, they're still not screaming sell it quite as much as they were before. Okay, so you can see here, and this was in the most recent time frame, the lowest low, and afterwards we've had high and a higher low and a higher high. So actually, you can see this kind of in effect just there, right? Anyway, moving on then, hidden divergence. So how do we see this? How do we see it? How do we see it? Well, we look towards the ups in a downtrend, because this is a downtrend, so we're looking towards the ups in the downtrend. That's the difference. That's what makes it hidden. Oh my God, it's hidden now. And can we see it? Is it any harder to see? Is it any more hidden than the regular stuff, right? So this is the regular stuff again. Quick reminder, low, subsequent low, and then another low over here, and this, and this, and this are all 3 of them as, higher than the one before. So that's divergence. Is this any harder to see? High, lower high, because it's part of a downtrend. And here's your oscillator here. And then here's the lower high. And here's the oscillator even higher. Okay. And what does that mean? Because shouldn't be called hidden. What should it be called? Continuation is what it should be called. And what does it signal? It signals that perhaps the prices will continue to go lower afterwards. Okay, and let's talk about the psychology using the same analogy with the noise in the room. So you've turned up as a novice trader, and you've never traded much before, and you're looking at the stock exchange. There's all these people running around in stripy jackets buying and selling stocks and shares, and you can see that when the prices came up as high as they did up here to the 9,900 level, that people were shouting, buy it, buy it, buy it. And it was quite loud at the time, right? It was quite loud at the time. Prices went down and people were saying, sell it, sell it, sell it, blah, blah. Then the prices came back up again. And they came all the way back up to 9,700. And people were shouting even louder than they were before, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy more of that. We want to fill our every space we have in our pockets, fill it up with this stuff. And despite the fact that they were screaming even louder than they were before, the prices didn't manage to go up higher. And you're this novice trader, you've never traded before, and then I turn around to you and say, well, you've just witnessed the prices were up at the 9,900 area. Then they dropped down a bit. Then they went up to 9,700, and you saw everybody out there screaming to buy it. What do you think is going to happen now? And you would be very justified in saying to me, well, look, Rocky, despite the fact that everybody was so eager to buy it, that almost everybody in the room was putting hand in their pocket, taking out money and saying, buy it, that despite all of that, there still wasn't enough buying power in the room here to actually push the prices higher than they had been before. after all of that extra screaming, all the extra putting money, taking money out, give me more, I'll take more. Do you want 5? No, I'll take 6. Right? After all of that, the prices never actually managed to go higher than they had been before. So I would guess that maybe the prices are going to go down. Maybe this downward trend is going to continue, because if the prices start coming back up again after they started going down again, if they start coming up again, then they're going to have to scream even harder to get the prices to go up. They're going to have to say, when he says, "Do you want 5?" No, I want 6. Actually, I want 10. I'm going to have to take 10 because I need the prices to not only go up past that previous high, but the high before. Everybody's going to have to do it, or whatever, right? And you'd be right to say that, because the momentum with the stock, despite it being stronger towards the upside, didn't achieve a higher high. And you can see why there's that divergence there. And therefore, you can understand why there'd be continuation off the back of that. As you can understand in the previous scenario, why there was a reversal here, because the people weren't as enthusiastically wanting to sell it, despite the fact that prices had gone lower. But they didn't want to sell any more of it there. They didn't want to sell any more of it, so you're thinking, and then the prices go towards the top side, and they're screaming, "Buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it," but it still didn't push the prices up, even though you had this bullish divergence before. You had this bullish divergence where you're looking at the prices, they come up to a high, they go to a low, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, they're not as enthusiastic selling it at that point. Maybe we're going to see the prices go up. And indeed, the prices did go up. And then when they were going up towards their highs, we're coming into this inflection point over here just before we had the previous high. We're looking at it saying, oh, it only needs to go up another couple $100. We've come all the way up from 9,100 to 9,700. We've come all this way up. All $600 have gone past there as we've moved the prices up. And it only needs to go another couple hundred, and we're putting in higher highs, and it's great. And everybody on the way up there was right to have bought it, and they should hold on to it forever, and it's going to be great. And they were all screaming to buy it, but the prices didn't make it up. And you're thinking, hey, hold on a second then. They were trying as hard as they could, and they couldn't do it. And we had that bullish divergence beforehand. The prices are going to go down. So you can understand the psychology, the dynamics there. I think that now at the end of this episode, you can understand that why it's called hidden divergence, why it shouldn't be called hidden divergence, why people think it's hidden, why it actually isn't hidden, how people think it's not visible, but how it's just as visible as any other type of divergence, why it works, what the psychology is behind it, why people would look for it, how that would actually, operate if you were to actually put like a bunch of people and apply a noise meter to them and say how enthusiastic they are about buying it. But we're not looking at noise levels. We're actually looking here at the prices and the momentum and everything else that's to go there with actual prices and the actual data, and not some sort of analog of it by measuring volume of people's voices. We're actually looking at the actual data here. So this is a real thing. This is a real thing. It's not just some sort of feeling that you have where you think that there's less people in the room or shouting for something. It's there. It's actually just as visible as any other type of divergence that you would see. It's just as visible. It's the same thing. It should be called continuation divergence as opposed to hidden divergence. What is regular divergence? Why is it not called continuation divergence then, you ask? Well, it's because it's a sign of reversal. Regardless of what you call it now, regardless of whether or not you're looking for hidden or visible, or whether you're looking for continuation or reversal, I hope that you can also understand just simply the idea of the momentum and the psychology behind it. As the prices are going down, there's less enthusiasm for them to be going down. Therefore, they start to go towards the top side. As they go towards the top side during this trend, there's more enthusiasm for them to go up, but they can't quite achieve it. And then how do you tie it all together? Well, you have to look for the trend. In this trend, this is a downtrend. So you're looking at the highs in a downtrend. That means you're looking for the continuation there, because that would be going against the trend. So what is the motivation to go against the trend? It's stronger than it was previously. And what is the outcome? The outcome is weaker. Therefore, continuation. You don't need to think about it from the name first aspect round towards the outcome aspect. Think about it from the outcome aspect and then name it afterwards yourself, if you even care to do so. What's the advantage in a name? The only advantage in a name is that when you're talking to somebody else, that you can say, I saw this on the charts. If you're just trading on your own, you don't need to talk to somebody else. You might be having a trade journal, in which case you could just write down the reasons why without even naming it yourself. You could say, a reason I went in for a long here is because while the prices were going down the way, the RSI didn't actually go down as well. So I saw this sort of divergence appearing there and I thought enthusiasm was running out. See, if you were writing that in a trade journal, totally fine. You can name it down the line later on whenever you look back in the future. You look back a year from now, you look back at your trading journal, and you say, well, that was divergence that I saw there. I wrote down what I thought was my interpretation of it, and it turns out that there's this name for it. And, there you go. So I hope that helps. Video's been longer, way longer than I thought it would be, but I hope that you found it enjoyable and entertaining and all the rest of it. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next episode. I've been Rocky Outcrop. I do daily crypto technical analysis, so join me for that.